Well, you might not have noticed that there is a war going on in the country of Yemen. If you've been watching all of the mainstream media coverage, you'd think there's only one conflict in the world with wall-to-wall coverage on CNN and other places, and that would be in Ukraine. But it turns out, no, there is a war in Yemen happening right now. In fact, this is a big week. We should celebrate this week in Yemen because this week kids are going back to school. So they've started a new school year in Yemen. This is
my God.
So can you imagine your kids going to this school?
Can we call it what it actually is, a genocide?
Yeah,
over a war.
You can call it that. I mean, because we're going to get into some data in a moment that's going to solidify that point. But it's absolutely the case that it is a genocide. But hey, kids are back to school. And I love the new air conditioning that they've got in these Yemeni schools. This is
awful.
And how did they get in there? They have to climb in through the window? Like, there's no door at that section, so they had to climb over all that rubble.
You don't see the door?
Yeah, there's a door. That part of it hasn't been destroyed yet by American weapons, so they can still go. But Americans are calling this air conditioning. Like, this is good for the students. So, but at least they have a chalkboard.
So can we just, because we're also such experts at Russian-Ukraine politics, can we go over what this conflict is about? It's been going on since 2014.
15.
It is, by some accounts, 2014.
Okay.
Why do you say that? Oh, because we're counting 7 years.
Okay.
There are 20.7 million people now who have been affected by this, and it's been an uprising against the government there, right?
So 7 years in this war. So let's take a look at this, right? Here is what is going on here. Well, when the Houthi rebels decided to move into Sana'a, which is the capital of this country, and take over the capital, right? This has been an area that the Houthi rebels and tribes have basically run for generations, right? This section of Yemen, okay? And Saudi Arabia didn't like that. Saudi Arabia has wanted U.S.-backed support for this. And so Saudi Arabia, of course, has been attacking, doing whatever they can to drive the Houthi rebels out of the capital city. It hasn't worked, though. And for 7 years, this is what's been going on in this region. Then, of course, you have the United States, which has been funneling additional funds into Saudi Arabia. The United States has been pouring weapons and countless amounts of missiles and javelins and everything else, jets and everything else into this area while they have been trying to attack this part of Yemen. This area, and basically the country is in many ways like divided by the river here. So you have the north, you have the south, and it's interesting to see like how this has unfolded over the years and what areas are sort of in control. These are sort of the areas of conflict. Again, the capital, right? Once the Houthi rebels came down, they represented a whole bunch of tribes that came together, very, wanted control of this area. And I love that these sort of artificial boundaries are put in place. Like, who sets these boundaries, right? Who in these regions, colonialists who set these boundaries and decide that we're going to place a country here, like we do in Africa. Like, look at the African continent. All of those lines that are drawn across the African continent are drawn by colonialists, like white people who go in and say, we're going to put a country here, and then we're going to put another like box here, and that's your country. This is your country, and over here is your country.
Oh, that's your holy land? Yeah, we don't care.
We don't care. We're going to divide it up however we want. So why is the United States in here? Why are we involved in this? Well, we've decided to send billions of dollars in resources, all sorts of weapons to support the Saudi involvement. You think, the Saudis are just doing all the attacking. Not at all. In fact, United States Special Forces have also shown up in this region and have also been drone strikes. But actual human beings are been from the United States have been here. And what's even more interesting than that is that it's not even just American military that are there, but it's mercenaries. So the UAE and Saudi Arabia come together and hire American special forces to go into this region. And I just find this endlessly fascinating.
And when you say special forces, are you referring to like Blackwater and things like that? Or are you referring to our actual on the salary, on the dole of the United States military?
These are independent businesses. Spear Group. Here's Spear Group specifically out of Delaware. Back in 2018, I remember the story because I was seeing, like, I wanted to do something about it back then on a show that I was on, but we didn't end up doing it. But anyway, Spear Group is a group out of Delaware.
So you're talking
They're
legit
hired
mercenaries.
Oh yeah, these guys are hired. You can go there right now and hire them. You can go to Spear Group and hire these guys to make your successful, whatever you want to do. You can hire these guys to fly in, and here they are.
Not to kill people. This says like they'll run security at your conference.
Exactly. But what they do is they are hired mercenaries. Here are the Spear Group. They were flown into Yemen.
Is that Dave Bautista?
To go and assassinate leaders on the Houthi side. Hired by the UAE to go into Yemen and on assassination missions. BuzzFeed News did some great reporting on this, broke down this whole story, and it's not illegal. Like, even though the United States State Department says, hey, if you're not in this war, if you're a United States citizen, you can't be involved in war in another country. You can't go and kill people, maim people, attack people, and yet this is what's happening. And when BuzzFeed contacted the State Department about it, they're like, nobody's doing that. And then they called them back a few hours later. They're like, yeah, it turns out they are doing that, and wow, we didn't know that, and nothing's happened to them.
On whose dollar, though?
On UAE, United Arab Emirates. Who, by the way, we can just think of it as a proxy dollar, right?
But then that might explain why in the most recent budget bill, which passed just last week, which the intention was only to increase the debt limit so the United States could continue operating. But stuffed into that bill was a little nugget that American citizens can no longer be hired guns on behalf of foreign governments.
Right.
So now that's why the hell was that in a budget bill? But it was, right? So this must be maybe part of that reaction.
But this is how we get in there without actually being in there. We love these proxy wars, right? Again, I just come back to Adam Schiff's comments. Let me play Adam Schiff's comments again. But this doesn't just mean for Ukraine. This is all over the world. This is what we love to do.
The United States aids Ukraine and her people so that we can fight Russia over there and we don't have to fight Russia here.
Right. So that's what we get to do in Yemen.
Wait a minute.
7 years of a bloody war that we can funnel weapons and money to, but we don't actually have to be involved
But that's
in.
How
the
hypocritical.
same.
How hypocritical, because they're saying that we don't want to fight Russia here. However, Saudi Arabia has already been here, and they just beheaded like 80-some people recently.
81.
But that's our ally. So they've
that's our
been here and
ally,
attacked us on 9/11,
Uh-huh.
and they're our ally, yet we don't want Russia here. But we're still working with Saudi Arabia even after that.
But I mean, the
let's
thing
go a
is,
little bit-
I was going to say,
Yeah.
in Yemen, we are fighting Russia in Yemen. I mean, it is a proxy war. It's not just us versus Yemen. It's
Right.
us versus Iraq and Iran.
Iran.
And Russia. Yeah. And so it is a proxy war that is like I think I brought it up like last week, where this is like a mini world war because you have so many other actors involved in it that
Can we stop calling it like that it's just a conflict over there? I mean,
Right.
these are world wars. Like, I tweeted about it and someone's like, Clayton, you're better than that. It's not a world war. Maybe not where you live in your cushy little Twitter apartment or your Martha's Vineyard house, but it is. Maybe it's not where you live in Iowa, but it is a world war, because I'm going to show you the data in just a second. I'm going to show you the money that's been flowing in here. So the foreign money that's, I put a little chart together that I built. So this is the foreign money that went into Yemen. Okay. So under Obama, who wanted to support the Saudi Arabians, Obama was the first to go in and offer $126 billion worth of weapons deals to Saudi Arabia, right? Went over there. He was really the first one to do the big ring kissing for Saudi Arabia. So he goes in, offers up 126 billion. Then Trump comes along, offers up 110 billion. Of course, we remember that huge.
Wait. Not 126 billion, 1.26
Oh,
billion.
did I say 1 point? Yeah, it's
right?
1.2.
Okay.
It's 1.26.
Yep. Okay. I can read. You're right.
Then it goes to $110 billion from Trump. Remember Trump did that whole like whoop-de-doo when he went there and he did like the sword dance. It was his first big real foreign trip, and it was a whole pomp and circumstance with the crown prince. And
Not
then
really. What
Jared-
did Melania wear?
I don't know, but I was
things.
live that whole morning covering it. The touchdown.
I
the
remember,
meeting.
yes.
You remember this now?
Yeah.
And you remember Jared Kushner meeting with the crown prince. They became good friends, the young prince.
Yes.
Negotiating weapons contracts on their behalf. He did a whole sword dance. You guys remember that, where President Trump did the sword dance?
Yes.
really awkward. He was given all sorts of robes that have tiger skins inside of it, like Bengal tigers, by the way, that are like nearly extinct. But here you go. We're going to kill. Here you go. Here's a robe that has Bengal tiger skin inside of it. All these lavish gifts. He offers up, it was 110, if memory serves, it was $110 billion deal. Let me pull up my notes here. $110 billion. Yes, $110 billion for the Saudi arms deal. What ended up, of course, going towards this massive quagmire in Yemen.
Okay.
So that was 110 billion there. So let's go back to my little dingus here, my little chart. I call it my little dingus. So here's my little chart. So again, 110 billion is what Trump did. Now, Biden had an opportunity. He was running on this idea that we're going to end this Saudi war, this Trump-Saudi war, as he was calling it, in Yemen, right? But what has he done since? Basically relabeled the thing and hasn't. And now, instead of giving 110 billion or 1.26 billion, what the Biden administration has basically done is made our arms to that region now free. So this past week, because we have not been able to secure this oil deal and getting the oil deal taken care of, President Biden said, you know what? We know you're upset with us.
We'll just give you what you want.
We're just going to send you weapons for free instead of you paying for them. So that's where we're at. That's where we are right now. President Biden had made all sorts of promises about this when he was campaigning, that we were going to end this disaster. We were going to stop this proxy war. He said that at the beginning, that we were going to announce this end for the U.S. support Saudi-led invasion of Yemen. Did not happen, has not happened, and it continues to this day.
Well, and also I
So
wanted
when
to
we
clarify
talk about
something too,
no
'cause
end in sight in Ukraine, right? Like, oh, we don't know. This has got to be over soon because we're all paying attention. But we don't mind that there's no end in sight for Yemen. Go ahead, David, please.
Well, I was just going to say, I wanted to clarify that it actually wasn't yet, because I didn't think when Philip said that Russia was involved with Yemen. It's Syria that Russia was bombing, not Yemen.
Yeah, Russia's in Yemen.
Track of them.
Yeah. They're definitely in Yemen. I mean, it is.
But they're not bombing Yemen. They're friends
they
with
are.
Yemen. I just
They're with their friends with the Yemenis government. That's what I'm saying. This is a proxy war. Russia is definitely in Yemen bombing. They're bombing each other. Everybody's bombing everybody over there.
And we get to pretend like our hands are not involved in it, right? Yes, yet there are U.S. special forces there. So, I mean, just look at, let me just show you the fallout here. And so this is the data as of this morning. Remember, this is a war that's now 7 years old. School has restarted in Yemen. There is a massive cholera outbreak. I mean, where there's a child now dying in Yemen every 75 seconds, according to
Oh my goodness.
information from this morning. Every 75 seconds. This is Yemen. I don't see people changing their Twitter handles to this. Anyway, here's the fallout as of this morning. There's 100,000 Yemenis have been killed. Many tens of thousands have been civilians, by the way. Displaced right now, 8 million Yemenis have been displaced. And there are starving 1 million Yemenis because of this massive cholera outbreak. And make no mistake about it, like people are like, oh, it's cholera, it's totally, this famine is totally unrelated to war. No, it's just a weapon of war. Famine is just an extension and a weapon of war. When you destroy fields, when you destroy food, when you destroy water supplies, these famines are as a result of war. And so
Yes.
all of these people who are killed and displaced, this is at the hands of the United States government, guys, funneling billions of dollars in weapons to the Saudis. And so what do we do when we don't get our way with the Saudis? We say that we're going to pull back and sending weapons to you guys. We're going to not send any weapons to the Saudis anymore. We're going to let you end this war. Then they get pissy with us. They get angry with us. The Saudis got mad at us. And then we have to go kiss their ring again.
Yeah.
So we go over there and kiss their ring. What do? We just sent them a whole bunch of new Patriot missiles because they complained to us. They said, you know what? We're running out of weapons here in Yemen. And so what did President Biden do? He just sent them free weapons, free Javelin missiles, Stinger missiles and Patriot rockets.
So-
Well, and again, we're always talking about how scared we are that these, like Iran and all these other countries, are going to, attack us here on our own soil. But if you believe the establishment mainstream narrative on 9/11, then it's hypocritical because the Saudis have already been here and attacked us, and it's like, how is it possible to do that?
Yeah.
But all these other places are bad and are going to come here.
So I wonder, would it be perceived as kind of a dick move to change your Twitter profile to the Yemenis flag? Or would people think that you are
People wouldn't know what it was.
diminishing the conflict in Ukraine? I just wonder what the general sentiment. Look, I looked it up. So if you want to do that and you stand against this war, then there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and
pick
you know how
one.
many flags we'd have to have on our profile pictures?
Right. That's exactly it. So I think what's interesting at this moment, right, is not just to pick who gets our attention, right, but the fact that the United States is the common denominator of many wars. To be fair, so is Great Britain. To be fair, so is the European Union, right? So you have to stand against all conflicts, not just one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just
so maybe
amazing that we
change your
continue
profile picture to people. A globe of people, because just stand with the people and not the governments.
or just a picture of Earth. You
Yeah.
know? But
Yeah.
but instead, like, this is what we do.
But Earth isn't going to cover it eventually because we're now venturing into space with the Space Force. So we probably, how do you represent the universe on a profile picture?
Infinity sign.
There we go.
You're for all possibilities and all.
Let's start a movement. Let's do the infinity sign on our profile pictures. Everyone.
I bet you would have such abundance if you did that. Give it a try. See what happens.
Okay, I'm doing it.
You know what's amazing too, when you dig into this data about Saudi Arabia, it's like we actually did, if you believe the reporting on this, we were upset that Saudis kept killing civilians. Like, we're funneling all of these weapons to you, but you keep killing women and children, and you're bombing funerals. That's literally what happened. That was like the moment when the Americans were like, okay, we're going to send a special envoy to Saudi Arabia so we can go over the data before you guys attack. We just want to see, like, are you guys aware that you're killing? Here's how you can prevent killing civilians, right? And the Saudis said, we agreed. We didn't want to be killing civilians, like the low-level people. They were like, yeah, we're good Muslims. We don't want to kill the civilians. The higher-ups, they didn't care at all. They wanted it wiped off the map, right? So we paid lip service to sending over these envoys to Saudi Arabia to talk with them about killing these civilians. They didn't do anything about it. Nothing changed. If you want to make real change, how about this? Stop sending them weapons. Stop sending them Patriot missiles.
Yeah.
Stop funneling and paying for this proxy war that kills all of these people. But we really care about Ukraine.
Right. And it's also troublesome to see how Ukrainian refugees get like front of the line in front of Yemenis refugees who've been in line for now 7 years. Right. And so now we're saying, oh, there's all kinds of programs now. In fact, what country was it? The Netherlands or some Northern European country? The king and queen said they're opening up the palace to Ukrainian refugees just yesterday, which is nice. But again, there already was a long line. So how do we decide who skips the line, right? Mm-hmm. If you are seeking refugee status in the United Kingdom, you have to prove that you can't go back to your country. You don't necessarily have a passport to travel. It's hell. It's a nightmare. But we're allowing so many people to get in front of them. And I just don't understand it. The world cannot pick whose suffering matters more than others.
But I wonder if they open up their palace to these kids, But it seems like
Right.
their school looks great. Maybe they could offer that, after the Americans help fund and bomb these schools. Like,
right.
Here's an opportunity to help out.
Well, and
So
if they're a different religion, I mean, they've proven over and over again that if you're not the same religion, they'll kill you. So they don't. It's like they see those kids as dangerous. They don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you like this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, we have a membership program. For the price of a cup of coffee once a month, you can support independent journalism just by going to morninginvest.com/join.
You get access to exclusive videos, plus the ability to join and chat with us live. We really appreciate your subscription, and you are supporting independent journalism.